everyone, this lecture video is all about amino acid utilization. So amino acids produced from the digestion and absorption of proteins into the bloodstream will enter the amino acid pool of the body. This amino acid pool is a total supply of free amino acids available for use in the human body. So this amino acid pool is not a location in our body. This is not an exact location or not a storage site. So this is just a summary or definition of the total available free amino acids in our body. So that's just a term for that. And then, sources of amino acids, we have here dietary protein, the food containing protein that you are intaking, protein turnover, biosynthesis of amino acids in the liver. And then, for protein turnover, this is a repetitive process in which proteins are degraded, meaning to say broken down, and resynthesized, meaning to say being absorbed again in the body within the human body. Causes of degradation, disease, injury, wear and tear. Then biosynthesis of amino acids that occurs in the liver. On this process, only non-essential amino acids are being produced because our body can only automatically make non-essential amino acids based on the precursors available on the pathway or metabolic pathways. Sige. Here are the essential amino acids we have here. This one, and for non-essential, this one. I'll just mention since non-essential amino acids can be automatically synthesized in the body. That is why this is biosynthesizing. Meaning to say, our body can automatically produce that based on the precursors from different pathways. So, for example, we have here the alanine. This alanine can be produced in our body automatically based on pyruvate. Okay, if our body has a pyruvate, it can create that alanine. For arginine, the precursor is aspartate. For asparagine, aspartate as well. Aspartic acid, the precursor is oxaloacetate. For cysteine, serine. For glutamic acid, alpha-ketoglutarate. For glutamine, glutamate. And then glycine, serine. And then for proline, glutamate as precursor. So that is why our body can automatically create these non-essential amino acids. And then we say that this is a non-essential amino acids because this is a cyclic process in our body automatically. While this one here, we call this as essential because this must be replenished right away, must be intaken daily. This histidine here, we have here some adults may be able to synthesize histidine on their own. As I have mentioned, this can only be intaken, right? But some people, very few of them, has microorganisms in their body, in their stomach, that can produce this one. Arginine, this is essential for child but not in adults. So essential amino acids cannot be synthesized by the human body. That is why this must be replenished automatically. That is why this is called essential. While non-essential can be synthesized by the human body based on the available precursors from the different pathways. And then must be obtained from the daily diet, must be taken as a protein food, and then can be synthesized by the human body. When we say known as indispensable amino acids, it cannot be replenished automatically, so we must intake this one. And then this one is dispensable, meaning to say our body can automatically create this one through a cyclic process from the precursors in different pathways. Next, we have here the nitrogen balance that occurs in healthy adult. This can be defined as a state wherein the amount of nitrogen taken into the human body as proteins equals the amount of nitrogen excreted from the body as waste. So, taken into, meaning to say you intake the nitrogen in the form of amino acids that is attached in the proteins. When we say excreted, the nitrogen can be excreted. The nitrogen that is attached in a amino acid can be excreted from the body as a waste material in form of urea. Urea is a component of urine. So that is how the nitrogen is being excreted in our body. Okay, next we have here negative nitrogen balance. This happens when protein degradation exceeds protein synthesis. Meaning to say you excrete more nitrogen than the uptake of the nitrogen in form of protein. So the amount of nitrogen in the urine exceeds the amount of nitrogen ingested in the form of protein food. Then negative nitrogen balance occurs in tissue wasting. So it happens when you have an injury, a wear and tear, or a disease. So for example, cancer disease. On a patient with a cancer, what happens here is the degradation of the cell. Okay, so the cell is being programmed to death because that cell is damaged already. And to avoid the further damaging in other cells, because cells divide, right, they multiply. So to avoid that, the multiplication of damaged cells, it must be stopped. Okay, so what happens is they kill, our body kills the cell. So that is what I call the tissue wasting. A group of cells is a tissue that must be killed. Okay, so another example for negative nitrogen balance is when a person is diabetic. So from the previous lecture in diabetes mellitus, I have mentioned that a diabetic person tends to urinate frequently. When that happens, there is more urea in the urine. Urea composed of nitrogen, which is one of the ways of eliminating the nitrogen in our body. So that is why the amount of nitrogen in the urine exceeds the amount of nitrogen ingested. All the ways from the damaged cell and from the diabetic person or in any other disease. That is why when a person has a disease, they tend to urinate frequently. Okay, even a person who has a fever, they tend to urinate frequently. When that happens, there is a negative nitrogen balance because they excrete more urine compared to when they uptake a urine. So that is why when a person has a disease, elders often encourage them to eat, which is very important because we need to balance the nitrogen. We need to uptake more protein. Okay, so that we won't have any negative nitrogen balance. So when you have a negative nitrogen balance, you tend to feel weak, numb, uh, drowsy, sleepy, and you can easily feel pain. The causes of the negative nitrogen balance, as I have mentioned, protein poor diet if you are not intaking protein-rich food. Starvation meaning to say you are not eating at all. You aren't eating at all, meaning to say no other foods, no protein, even there will be also a problem in the biosynthesis of the protein in your body. If your body can automatically replenish the pyruvates, the oxaloacetate, and it cannot produce the protein automatically. There will be a problem with that. Then wasting illnesses. As I have mentioned, cells are being programmed to death if they are damaged to avoid the multiplication of damaged cells. And also as well, diabetic persons and any types of diseases. Okay. And also, starvation is also a form of wasting illness because you tend to have lost tissue mass. You will lose a tissue mass. You will lose a weight. And that happens because most of the cells are being destroyed so that the nutrients can be absorbed by your body to keep you alive. Then we also have here positive nitrogen balance. This happens when the nitrogen intake exceeds nitrogen output, meaning to say the rate of protein synthesis exceeds the protein degradation. Meaning to say you eat more protein compared to the excretion of the nitrogen as form of urea. So for example, it happens in growth. Okay, when you are growing, okay, any part of your body that is a positive nitrogen balance, when to say you are intaking a food that sustain the growth hormones. And then pregnancy, of course, that is a positive nitrogen balance because you are eating and then your child are also eating inside your body. So you tend to eat more, you are craving for more. So when that happens, when the uptake of protein is more than the excretion of protein, that is what we call the positive nitrogen balance. So although the overall nitrogen balance in the body often varies, the relative concentration of amino acids within the amino acid pool, it remains essentially constant. Okay, it is constant that our body has approximately 100 grams of free amino acids present in the amino acid pool. And the glutamine is the most abundant amino acid in the human body. And then the essential amino acid comprises only 10% of the 100 grams. So meaning to say that is why you have to replenish the essential amino acids daily to sustain the needed amino acids in the body. Then the uses of amino acid protein synthesis. It is estimated that about 75% of the free amino acids in the healthy, well-nourished adult go into protein synthesis, meaning to say makeup. Proteins are continually needed to replace old tissue and also to build new tissue, which is a growth. This is a positive nitrogen balance. And then the second one is synthesis of non-protein nitrogen containing compounds. So amino acids are regularly withdrawn from the amino acid pool for the synthesis of non-protein nitrogen containing compounds. Such molecules include purines and pyrimidines of nucleic acids, which are the adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine, and also the uracil. It also helps in the creation of the heme of the hemoglobin. The amino acid is being used also in the synthesis of non-essential amino acids. So when required, the body draws on the amino acid pool for raw materials for the production of non-essential amino acids that are in short supply. Next, the fourth one, production of energy. Amino acids in excess of those for biosynthetic processes. We cannot store the amino acid body just like the what do you call this, the carbohydrates. They can be stored in form of glycogen, and then the fatty acids in form of triacylglycerides. This amino acid cannot be stored in any form. So when there is a synthesis, there is a production of energy. Next, we have here degradation of amino acids or breakdown. Amino nitrogen atom is removed and excreted from the body as urea. Then the carbon skeleton is converted to pyruvate, acetyl-CoA, or as a citric acid cycle intermediate. This is the nitrogen-containing compound, the amine group, which is an ammonia, which is toxic to the cells, that must be eliminated. And then the urea here, which is non-toxic. When this ammonia attached to a compound, it will form a urea, and this urea is non-toxic to cells. But this one is being excreted in the urine because it does not have any storage here. So what will happen if there is an overaccumulation of urea? There will be a kidney stone. So that must be excreted frequently in form of urine. And then the remaining carbon skeleton will be used as a precursor in the production of glucose, acetyl-CoA, ketone bodies, carbon dioxide, and water. So that is all for amino acid utilization in our body.